And sorry about that. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining. As Giselle did mention, I was in distribution for several years, so I feel we talk in sales about features and benefits. And I feel having my time in distribution, selling multiple different things, wearing multiple different hats, all in the same call. I feel that we, being selling sales director for Berry Global and specifically selling stretch film, I do think we have something to offer in terms of we do understand the distributor dynamic. So, without further ado, I'll get into our presentation. So, our agenda for the next half hour: quick overview on Berry Global, the corporation, corporate sustainability, stretch film market, and ultra high performance products. And then we'll end with specifically stretch film sustainability. So, a little bit about Berry Global, the corporation, in case you're not super familiar. We've got Berry, they say on any given day you touch about 20 to 22 different Berry items. So, we have about 100,000 different products manufactured globally. We are the largest resin buyer in the world with over 6 billion pounds of resin. And then in terms of our different divisions, we have four different divisions. So Mary-Eve, Tung, and I, and sorry, I'll backtrack. Mary-Eve Deneau is on the line, which many of you are familiar. She handles Quebec East, and we have Tung Nguyen on the line, who handles BC and Alberta for us in stretch, and also as PVC. So the four divisions that we have for Berry Global, we've got consumer packaging, international, North America, health, hygiene, and specialties, and then the new named flexibles. We used to be called engineered materials, but the division that Mary-Eve Tung and I work for is called flexibles. So, in terms of financial and industry recognitions, give you a sort of an idea of the size of Berry Global. We're number 271 on the Fortune 500. And then in terms of best corporate citizens, we're number 97 from 3BL Media and number 11 in the materials industry. I always feel that, and both Mary-Eve and Tung, we all feel it's very important to know that we work for a corporation that is not only makes good products, provides values to our business partners, but also is a good corporate citizen. So, in terms of sustainability, and I think that's something that important for us to communicate to our customers and for you to help communicate to your customers, we have our 2025 sustainability strategy. So, what we've got is we've got three different parts of the strategy. You've got our products, performance, and our partners. Where we're going to focus on primarily today, and we'll touch on a number of these, but today we're going to primarily focus on optimize our products and under the optimize and design and sustainable materials. A big focus of the presentation today will be, and you'll hear me mention it numerous times, of the lightweight of products. We have, and even Tung and Mary-Eve haven't seen one of the slides we'll get to towards the end, but we have a brand new sustainable offering that just came to me late last week, which I'm happy to share and super excited. But right now, where I feel we are in the marketplace still, lightweighting of products is the best way to go for sustainability, but also for you to show and for us to help you show value to your customer. Our sustainability goals in keeping with sustainability. As you can see, Berry Global is the only stretch manufacturer, along with a lot of these multinationals that are part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, their mandate is to create and nurture a circular economy. So we're very proud at Berry to be part of this. Again, and for all of us on the line, especially in Canada, whether it be mandated by the government, our stakeholders, popular opinion, or personally, and for I think for most of us, we all want to do the right thing for the environment. So being part of a corporation and you being partnered with a company that takes sustainability seriously and joins and tries to lead the way, I think is a great benefit. So why Berry Stretch Films? So first, we've got innovation. So what Berry does is spend a lot of time reinvesting in our business. So we've got multiple different products that are being engineered and developed as we speak. And we also currently have a very broad product line. Looking at the Canadian market in terms of the market competitors, we feel that we have the deepest breadth and widest reach in terms of a stretch film for the application. We're the only ones who have a complete lineup of conventional, ultra high performance, cast, and blown capacity. And that applies to both machine and hand wrap. Sustainability. Again, we're going to focus on ultra high performance and sustainable products. And what I'm going to refer to again is a lot of down gauging. So, right up front, if we reduce the amount of film being transported around North America or in your local neighborhood, we're doing something for sustainability. We'll also get into EarthSense Pro and EarthSense. In terms of our team, both Tung, Mary-Ev, and I, how we get measured is being in the field. As much as it's nice to be in our office, and I feel that over the last couple of years, a lot of us got used to selling off our kitchen table. Our favorite part is being in the field, seeing what's going on, and helping people find a solution. And what we can do is with your distribution sellers or your team, we can help take the commoditization and the Me Too less 5 out of selling stretch film. How do we do that? We do that by investing in the business again and conducting stretch film analysis. We're also trained on how to look at what status quo is, cost of status quo, and how can we adjust that to bring value. And that sometimes comes through with a slight adjustment of the wrap pattern or the equipment. And then lastly, operations. As some people may know or may not know, Berry Global is the largest stretch manufacturer in North America with 8 plants. Closest to us is 5. What does that mean other than just something we can brag about in terms of number of plants? The last couple of years have shown between, and stretch film in particular, between hurricanes and supply chain issues that have happened in the past, we have 8 plants. So if your local plant or the plant that services your area has an issue, we can backfill from some of the other plants. And from our perspective, that gives you a peace of mind knowing that you'll have continual supply. So, ultra high performance products and increasing value. So for those on the line who aren't as familiar with stretch film, I'll just go over a little bit of a brief the different parts of stretch film and where we're selling and how we're selling. So we've got 2 subsets, machine wrap and hand wrap, and then a subset within hand wrap is pre-stretch. And pre-stretch is a different manufacturing, very ergonomic and virtually zero wastage. On the far right of the screen is roll wrap. Not many opportunities for that in Canada, but if you ever do have one, please let us know, and we have an in-house expert who we can work with and help figure out how we can help you sell to that account. Market demand in North America. Stretch film, is a product that's used almost everywhere. So in terms of the market size, we're looking at about 2.3 billion pounds. And in the North American market by country, down south, United States, 70%, Mexico, 22%, and Canada is about 8%. I think the next slide's a little bit more pertinent to everybody on the line. What are the target markets? So if we ever have a distributor rep who doesn't know where to go to look for stretch film, what we can do is steer them towards this. Somebody who's involved in food and beverage, that's 33 and 17% there. Other consumer, that usually falls in logistics and shipping and general warehousing or general manufacturing. So again, in terms of a breadth of opportunity, stretch film is being used everywhere, all over Canada. Stretch film in terms of market dynamics, which they do move continually, but right now, or change, sorry. Right now, performance and breakage, damage, and loss expectations. So these are huge costs to a lot of corporations. So what we want to do is we want to offer them savings through ultra high performance or down gauged films without sacrificing load containment. Because if you look at the figures here and they're in US dollars, on the far left at the top, about $8 billion of wasted product and about $8 billion of cost to companies through breakage, damage, and loss. What we're looking at doing is offering them the product that's the right solution so they don't have to worry about, is my product going to make it to its final destination? Then also another thing that is particularly in the Canadian market, coming to the forefront is sustainability. We're getting Mariev, Tung, and I get more calls weekly on sustainability than we ever have. And so historically, people have been unwilling to pay for some of the products that are a little bit more expensive if they're sustainable. What we have right now is an excellent opportunity of a mature product with ultra high performance products that we can offer them now, which are more sustainable. And I'll get a little bit more into the details in the next slide or two. And then lastly, a figure that I find very interesting. At the very bottom, about the average price to wrap a pallet per unit in North America is about 59 cents US or 74 cents Canadian. So financial benefits and cost reduction, how do we get there? What we're looking at doing is we're looking at and trying to change the dialogue. There's a lot of your competitors and a lot of people out there selling just cost per roll. And cost per roll is all very well and good. But what you really want to do to show you're part of a solution provider, part of that company's team, is say, hey, I can sell you on a roll cost, but what we'd like to do is we would like to see how much it's costing you per unit. It's more of an elevated way of selling. So how do we do that? We do that with a stretch film analysis. I'll get in on the next slide a little bit more details on that for those who are unfamiliar. But what we want to do is we want to work with your distributor rep and with the customer and actually be consultative. Say, this is the cost of status quo. We have an idea, and this is what we think will prove, and will prove our theory, and then look at see what we can save you. And save you in terms of dollars spent, and also increase your sustainability. Long roll versus short roll. A lot of our products in our ultra high performance lines, they are on a longer footage. We're starting to see in the Canadian market, because of roll cost, we're starting to see a number of shorter rolls. So give you an example. We have a ultra high performance product, Stratus 51. It's a 51 gauge, 9,000 foot roll. What I'm seeing and we're seeing in the Canadian market is a similar product about 7,500 feet, 50 on a skid. Ours is 40. So what does that mean other than there's more rolls on there? What it means is for each core, and the weight of the cores on a 40-inch or 40 roll pallet, that's 64 pounds of cores. For a 50, which if we do for the footprint of the pallet when you sell a shorter roll to maximize the load, you're looking at 80 pounds of cores, a difference of 16 pounds. So throughout a year, it's almost close to 200 pounds more of cores going into the waste or the recycling stream. Also, what we're wanting to communicate, and this is also something, the trick is who we're speaking to at the business. Are we going to be speaking to the purchaser, operations, or the person who really owns the business or cuts the CEO, cuts the checks? What we're looking at is helping them take out some of the hard and soft costs. Hard costs of the product itself, but then our soft costs. If we sell a longer roll and get a film that's got more yield, we're going to cut less POs, less deliveries, and less recycling. What we all forget is recycling does have a cost for a business. And then lastly, for the hand film segment, we're looking at bulk versus boxed. When that, typically in that segment, that's a lot in the pre-stretch. And the difference is a 1,450 foot roll versus a 2,000 foot roll. Again, if the customer just looks at price, they may not realize that 2,000 feet, they get a quarter more. And then also we can save them a little bit of money with no cartons. And then also, again, more sustainable. So our machine portfolio hierarchy, I'll start at the bottom. So these are the products that we sell in the Canadian market. So the traditional, conventional, as we refer to them, blends are at the very bottom of the pyramid in the dark gray. So those are your old historical blends, 80 gauges, 70 gauges, all the way down to 50 gauges, two-sided cling, both blown and cast. We get into the next level is high performance. So what we do is we use a little bit of better quality of resin. And what we're looking to do with the high performance products is increase that stretchability, therefore increasing compression and therefore load security, hoping to reduce the amount of film on pallet. The next product, next step up, is our premium performance. So this is where we still feel we really start to shine. So Revolution, which has just recently been rebranded, our old Originally, AEP was XR, then transitioned to our Revolution. Now we're calling it Rev. And so again, a multi-layer film with outside slip, an excellent puncture and tear resistance, a very popular film used in the beverage industry. And then we get up to the very top of the pyramid, ultra high performance, and the product that we all love selling. So we've got two blends. We've got Transcend coming out of Lewisburg, Tennessee. And then what we have is Stratus made in Belleville, Canada. I'm going to focus mainly on Stratus. And the reason being is Stratus has been around for a number of years. It's a proven success. And being made in Belleville, it's made in Canada. So it's a benefit to us in our market. It comes in 37, 39, 42, 45, 51, 60, and an 80 gauge. And where we see a lot of the market competitors right now are 41, 45, and 50. So again, a good versatile product, excellent stretchability, cling, and clarity. And it's a product that we very much lead with. So now our stretch film analysis. So those who aren't familiar, what we want to do is we want to work with your team and get in and meet the customer and say, have you had a stretch film analysis before? We've referred to it as cut and weigh in the past, but what we're referring to is an analysis, because really that's what we're doing. So what we need is we get the film specs, get the information, how many pallets wrapped a day. Is there evidence of overuse? And that's how we're trained, and we're trained at our training center to figure out, are we putting too much film on the pallet? How do we target efficiencies? Because ultimately, if we're just trading rolls of film, we're not being mindful of the customer's business. And what we want to do is try to differentiate ourselves from the competition. How do we help you get more efficient? Is it wrap cycle time? Is it the amount of film that you're using on pallet? Is it the amount of deliveries you're taking from your competitive distributor? What we also want to do is increase stretch and reduce wraps. So the stretch is where we get our compression. And if we can get our compression greater or equal, we can then start to look at how do we take film out? Because when we take film out, not only is it more sustainable, it's more financially beneficial. Then we also look at what a benchmark versus optimization. In many instances, our competitors look at if you have X for your metrics being stretch, compression in ounces, that's your benchmark. What we're looking at doing is trying to create the optimal recipe for your film. So that's the settings on your equipment and also the product selection. Then reduction in use. This is where we're really find the savings. So if we can take film out without sacrificing load containment, then we're going to be the ones who will help you win. And then we can also calculate, for those who aren't familiar and haven't seen an audit form, which I'll show an example in a minute, we can show how much it costs you per pallet, per day, or per year. So instead of just believe me, I can show you the results. And again, without sacrificing safe transit or load containment. This slide here is just a very easy example to understand what we're referring to. So we've got a 75 gauge, and as we move along with 3 different blends, MP2, Rev or Revolution, and our Stratus. What I'm not focused about the dollars per se in this slide, because these are for US costs, but what we're more bothered about in showing in the slide is how many more pallets you can wrap to get wrapped per roll. So that again is powerful stuff in terms of cutting out costs of the number of deliveries, recycling, and packaging that needs to be taken away. And then for the stretch film analysis, and so I mentioned on one of the slides why Barry. Barry's always reinvesting back in our business. So Mary Tung and I have a new audit form that we've spent a fair amount of time and money in developing, and we even now have our own app. So we can, while we're at the account, even on our iPhone, can quickly do the stretch film analysis for you. What we really find is a benefit compared to some of the older tools that we used to have. This one actually breaks it down, and it breaks it down in a way that all the different stakeholders in the business can relate to. So if we have the finance department, we have our annual cost savings. If we're involved with the operations department, we can show them how many more pallets they can wrap per unit without having to take that roll off and have the operator stop what they're doing to roll changeover. And then lastly, if we have somebody who's very concerned about sustainability, or sustainability is just a nice byproduct of saving some money, we can do that too. For the longest time, to say to somebody with a bundle of film, I have 6 ounces over here and 3 ounces over there. When you look at a bundle of film, it doesn't really resonate. With the analysis and what we can provide your customer is we actually show them relatable, tangible metrics. So I can say to the customer could say to their boss or whoever they report to, by making choice 1 to 2, we've gone from we've taken 110 barrels of oil out of consumption or out of circulation this year, and we've also reduced 7,000 pounds of resin. So this is very powerful stuff, along with the annual cost savings. So this is what we want to do when we go and make a call with you, with your distributors, and do our analysis. Now on to hand film. So again, very much like the machine film, we have our hierarchy and our pyramid. So we have conventional, more sort of older technology in terms of the very bottom for the performance. Then we get into our high performance cast XH hand wrap. This product, very stiff, very clear, very quiet, has been improving even from when it was first launched when I was in distribution. It was a great way to increase my margin at the time because it was a product that went from using a 5-pound roll to a 3.6-pound roll. A tremendous amount of savings in terms of it was more ergonomic, and then also a lot of cost savings. Then we get into the premium performance, and we have our preempt pre-stretch. Canadian market is overall Canadian market, actually, we're quite early adapters in a lot of different things, and that's no different for stretch film. Pre-stretch is, depending on your market, well, actually across Canada, more markets than some markets more than others, but definitely pre-stretch is the now taken over a majority of the pre-stretch or hand wrap segment. Part of the reason being is there's zero wastage and it's more ergonomic. The trick with pre-stretch is, again, convincing anybody who's not using it to wrap slightly differently, and we're able to help your distributor and your customer understand why. And then lastly, our ultra high performance, our Fortitude hybrid cast one-sided cling. So I've put this slide in, the marketing slide in particular, because this is not something we've sold a lot in Canada so far. And the reason being is, one thing that Barry does is when we launch a new product, we like to test it and like to not run into any capacity issues. So now it's a mature product. We've been selling it for a while, and now we're manufacturing it close to the border in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania. So what does that mean for us here? That means we are now, Mary-Eve, Tung, and I are open to selling it to the Canadian market. And our first stop is our Ballpex partners. So why Fortitude? Fortitude, unlike any other product in the market, has excellent puncture, tear, clarity, and is an excellent film for load holding, and also very good for cold and freezer applications. It looks like conventional high performance cast, but because of that folded edge, we have very little wastage. Again, reduces carbon footprint by doing a down gauge. And something to note, we have just launched a 24 gauge in the 14.5. Again, 2,500 feet. Reason being is we're trying to maximize the amount of film per core. And lastly, stretch film and sustainability. So with being part of Barry and Barry the corporation, we have what's called Be More. And this Be More relates to a lot of our different divisions. The slide here is how it relates to stretch film. So what we'll start off is the very bottom of the pie, improve recycling. Stretch film is extremely recyclable. So what we want to do is we want to encourage our distributors or encourage our end users to find homes for the film. Because eventually what's going to happen is that recycled film is going to go into the right side of the pie, which is going into products such as our EarthSense and our EarthSense Pro. So more and more daily, we're getting more requests for PCR or PIR film. So the more recycling, the more film we get into the recycling stream, the more we can put that back in some other products. Then we also have our renewables. So BioVantage is a machine in hand wrap that is 30% cane resin. I'll get into it a little bit more on another slide or two. And then lastly, again, part of the ultra high performance and still what I think our best sustainable option is taking film out in the very front. So what we've got is our reduced carbon footprint films, Transcend, Stratus, Revolution, and Fortitude. So EarthSense PCR. So you are the Balpex group on the line today is the first people in Canada to see this slide, and as mentioned before, Tung and Mary-Eve haven't even seen it yet. So EarthSense Pro Hybrid. So what that is that Fortitude with 30% post-consumer resin and 5% post-industrial resin. Again, has the benefits and the features of Fortitude, but then also with the post-consumer and post-industrial resin. EarthSense Performance Hand Film. We've had this around for a couple of years now. It's a 25% post-consumer resin and 25 post-industrial resin product. 18 inches, 1,500 foot, 80 gauge, and comes in a blown. And then lastly, our EarthSense Performance Machine Film. 70 gauge, 19.7, 6,500 foot. And again, it has 30% post-consumer resin. Anyone who's interested in any of the products, Mary-Eve, Tung, and I are available to request for samples, and we can help you out. BioVantage, again, comes in a machine and a hand film. 30% Braskem cane resin. Again, taking resin out of the consumption or out of the stream right away and up front. And then one last thing, and to really reemphasize the audit form, and this is something that for larger opportunities, if we need a very specific individual slide, we do have a sustainability director. And again, this is taking into consideration financial attractiveness and also carbon foot reduction. So 2,200 less cores, 57.7 fewer pallets, savings. Again, a very powerful slide and a great way to partner with your customer and show that you're mindful of their mandates, whether it be internal sustainability, external, or something they just feel is the right thing to do. And then the last two slides, polyethylene films, and again, part of the B Circular range. Basically what we're wanting to do, again, to get more post-consumer resin for these types of products is encourage recycling. So make, use, and recycle. Polyethylene is very recyclable. And so polyethylene film is mostly comprised of stretch and shrink film. And then last thing, how can distributors help out? This is, we feel, an opportunity for our distribution partners, an opportunity to make some sales and also make some partnerships. So how can you, look, we sell people products. Do we have the ability to bring some of the film back? Can you become an accumulator? And also, is there a possibility to sell balers to your customers? So there's an opportunity for all to try to increase the circular economy. And with that, that is our presentation.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any questions?
First of all, just a reminder also, if you didn't put your name at first and last and company name in the chat, please do so. That'll allow us to ensure that you have your points allocated for our elite vendor promotion. And then obviously, thank you, Mark, Mary-Eve, and Tung for taking time to join us today. I will ask Brianna from the chat, do you have a question that has come in that we can share with Mark or the team?
Yes, we do. How do you get users to agree to SFA time analysis?
Great question. So over the last couple of years, I think, as I mentioned before, people are getting a little bit used to either buying online or not seeing people. I think we got into a habit of just either selling from our kitchen table or the purchasers buying from their kitchen table. What we want to do is we want to say that, look, what we'd like to do is not just sell you some film. We'd like to see what you're doing and see if it's the best way to do it. We need to try to find a way that is going to speak to that customer. But you have a sustainability mandate. Is it cost savings you're after? Is it efficiencies? How we get the stretch film analysis is we sometimes have to find a compelling way to communicate. We just need half an hour of somebody's time. And sometimes my experience has been we speak to perhaps the wrong person. So if we're speaking with maybe a buyer, they may not be that interested in optimization. What we want to do is maybe speak to the operations manager or speak to the person who is in charge of the facility or a lead hand. So what we want to do is we want to try to show them that not only so everyone can sell your roll of film. What we want to do is we want to sell them the best roll of film for their application. So what we want to do is position it as sustainable and financial benefits, and also is a consultative approach. I hope that answers that.
Thank you.
If you have time for one more question, there was one more that came through, Mark.
Of course, I know I ran a little bit long, so sorry.
That's
Yes.
okay. How many stretch film analysis should a distributor or salesperson do each week?
Rule of thumb, we're hoping each distributor sales rep, and we appreciate some do not only sell stretch film, but ideally, I think you'll find your numbers will grow considerably if you do 2 a week. If you think about it, that's 72 a year. And even if your close rate is, say, 25%, 15%, that's a lot of new business. So what we're hoping is, and we can help, is we're hoping that distributor reps can at least find time to do 2 a week. I feel that you will find your numbers will grow exponentially. And also the distributor reps level of familiarity and proficiency in selling stretch film will go through the roof as well, because they'll start to understand why they need to sell a certain product over versus a different product. They'll also start to understand how they can bring more value to each account that they go and see.
Well, I think if we don't have any other questions, I will once again say thank you to the team from Barrie Stretch. Certainly remember they are available through the month for your sales meetings. If you didn't pre-book one, Mark, Mariev, and Tung will make themselves available for a sales meeting in the month of March. So let's make sure that we're taking advantage of the precious resource that we have with them. And again, on behalf of Ballpex, thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, everyone. And any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.